On the first day of 2025, while most people in Ohio were looking forward to fresh starts and new resolutions, a chaotic scene was unfolding that proved some old grudges refused to die. A New Year's celebration was shattered when a woman arrived at a residence armed with a .40 caliber pistol, turning a night of optimism into a life-altering tragedy. The chaos began with a frantic emergency call, reporting a shooting on a front porch. The caller panicked, begging for help as a victim lay wounded. The shooter had already fled the scene, leaving behind a bullet and a man fighting for his life. When first responders arrived, they found Daniel Johnson suffering from a gunshot wound to his midsection. He was rushed into surgery while witnesses described a woman in a Jeep circling the property before opening fire and speeding away. It soon became clear that Daniel wasn't even the intended target. Investigators discovered that the alleged shooter, a dance instructor named Olivia Clendenin, had been caught in a bizarre and volatile love triangle. Both her husband and her former boyfriend were attending the same New Year's gathering, and instead of clashing, the two men had unexpectedly become friendly with one another. That unexpected bond enraged Olivia. After arguing with her husband and demanding he leave with her, Olivia stormed away from the party around 5 a.m. But the situation was far from over. A short time later, she returned to the property armed with a handgun, setting the stage for a violent confrontation that would permanently alter several lives. Police didn't have to search long for the suspect. Just minutes after the gunfire erupted, Olivia crashed her SUV into a power pole only a short distance away from the scene. Officers quickly responded, believing at first they were dealing with a simple DUI crash. Olivia was taken to the hospital with minor injuries, where detectives soon began questioning her about the chaotic events of the night. During the lengthy interrogation, investigators read Olivia her rights as she tried to explain what had happened. At first, she painted herself as someone emotionally overwhelmed and manipulated by the men in her life. She claimed she had been bullied, pushed to her breaking point, and consumed by anger after ongoing relationship drama. But as detectives continued pressing for answers, Olivia's story slowly began to change. She eventually admitted that earlier that morning, she had returned to the residence to confront her husband. According to Olivia, her ex-boyfriend handed her a firearm from his dresser and suggested she use it only to scare the people at the house. Olivia later described herself as intoxicated, furious, and emotionally out of control. Sitting behind the wheel of her Jeep, she fired 2 shots toward the home. At first, she insisted she only aimed at the garage and never intended to hurt anyone. But the consequences were devastating. One of those bullets struck Daniel Johnson in the abdomen, leaving him critically injured and fighting for his life on life support. Detectives told Olivia that a man had been shot, and according to investigators, she appeared shocked by the news. Still, she admitted her actions were fueled by rage, alcohol, and panic. After the gunfire, Olivia sped away from the neighborhood with her mother-in-law still inside the vehicle. She later dropped her off before losing control of the SUV and crashing into the utility pole. What began as a night of arguments, jealousy, and emotional chaos had now turned into a tragic criminal case with life-changing consequences for everyone involved. The legal fallout was swift and severe. Within days of the investigation, prosecutors formally charged Olivia Clendenin with multiple serious felonies, including attempted murder and felonious assault. What had begun as a New Year's celebration quickly unraveled into a criminal case defined by jealousy, recklessness, and life-altering consequences. As the case moved through the court system, Olivia attempted to present herself in a more favorable light. She described herself as a respected member of the community and highlighted her work as a dance instructor. She also spoke about her role in mentoring children and building programs that she believed made a positive impact. But prosecutors argued that these portrayals stood in sharp contrast to the violence of that morning, and the victim's family echoed those concerns, insisting her actions revealed a far more dangerous and impulsive side. Throughout the proceedings, evidence and testimony painted a clearer picture of the events that unfolded. The prosecution emphasized how a heated emotional situation escalated into gunfire, leaving Daniel Johnson fighting for his life. They argued that regardless of intent, the decision to fire shots toward a residence showed a blatant disregard for human life. During sentencing in early 2026, emotional statements were delivered by Daniel Johnson's family. They described the lasting pain, trauma, and uncertainty they now live with every day. They also criticized Olivia for what they felt was a lack of genuine remorse and accountability. When Olivia was given the opportunity to address the court, she spoke at length about her personal achievements, her students, and the impact her imprisonment would have on her dance career. Her acknowledgement of Daniel's suffering was brief, something the family later pointed to as deeply painful and insufficient. After hearing all arguments, the judge delivered the final sentence: 16 to 20 years in prison. For Daniel Johnson and his loved ones, the consequences of that night remain permanent. What began as a moment tied to celebration and new beginnings instead turned into a lasting tragedy fueled by jealousy, alcohol, and uncontrolled anger. The case now stands as a sobering reminder that a few seconds of emotional decision-making can permanently change and even destroy multiple lives.